Time is ticking away, ticking away. Okay, so let's talk about time because there's a lot of loaded stuff about time. And, especially when it comes to manifestation. And I think I'm going to share a little bit about quantum theory and talk about our boy Einstein for a second. And then we're going to deep dive into what's going on here in terms of time and manifestation about out there and all this kind of stuff, okay? So time doesn't exist, and I absolutely hate saying that. But even Einstein said that time is a persistent illusion. But who's persisting? Time isn't sitting there persisting. It's us. We are the ones who are persistently believing in time, okay? So as you know, he was a big mind in the area of quantum mechanics, right? Not just that, but, that was one of the areas that he helped influence, okay? And so there's a great book by Carlos Rovelli, and in it he talks about how time is never something that is about measurement in the typical understanding of it, okay? So we look at time as, it's 1 o'clock. Oh, hey, I'll see you tomorrow at 12, right? And so we're measuring the day, okay? In fact, there was a great Greek quote that said, "Cursed be the man who decided to cut the day up in 2 hours," right? And it's this idea that basically time doesn't exist. Okay, but Carlos Rovelli says that time is not better understood as something that's on a clock wall or on your watch or whatever, a way in which you measure a relationship with somebody, like, hey, I'll see you at 4, right? But it's a process. That's all it is. Understand it as a process, right? So it's a process from you getting to here, not time, process. Okay, so that's very, very different because you're not measuring then. Because you don't measure processes in the same way that you do measure, like that you measure moments, right? You don't measure moments by time. You measure them by process, right? Hence why when Neville talks about the 6 days of creation, it's not a 6 literal time-constrained understanding of 6 days. It's a process. It's a psychological process. This is why day 7 is not a literal day 7 in scripture. It's the mental Sabbath. I don't need to do this. I'm good. I'm all right. I'm that person. I can let go now, right? And so that will happen naturally, by the way. The letting go process will happen naturally. You don't sit there and try to force let go. Like I talked in my other video about ignoring. You don't force. You don't try to crap out ignoring or crap out letting go. You just let go as a natural process of becoming. Right? So I want to encourage you, 1, with that. But 2, realize that time doesn't exist. Okay? And I mean that not as a proposition or as some silly idea or as some popular idea. Okay? I mean, you have to get to the point where you retrain the way that you think about time is just the process. Okay? It's just the process between you getting from where you are now to getting what you desire. That's it. A process. That's it. And so the process is, hey, I got to be in here for a while. Hey, I've got to now start also actively being aware of what I'm saying out here and how I'm feeling out here, right? I've got to actually be aware of where my attention goes, right? I've got to be aware of what my senses are doing and how they're reacting to things, okay? So that's the process. That is the process. Not timed, not when will it come, how will it come? That's why looking at time as a numerical value is extremely problematic because it doesn't work the same way. When you look at time as an esoteric, mystical process of becoming, then you see time way differently. So when you go in here, it's about becoming, okay? And Neville even says in one place that you should be able to actually manifest in the twinkling of an eye. But keep in mind, he's not saying, oh, once you meet me and read like 2 books and you've manifested a handful of things, you could do that. Keep in mind, he's saying this much later in his own experience of using the law, okay? So this takes time, but that's a process, not a moment on a watch, okay? That should hopefully relieve some of the pressure on you. Okay, but then what happens in here? Okay, so in here, there's no time. It's now. It's always now. when you're doing an action in here, you're never performing it for the future. Meaning you're not performing it for something to come your way because you already have it in here, because it's now, right? The moment is now. So the process is now, right? The process that you are becoming and doing in the act of becoming, you're doing it now. You're doing it in here, okay? So there isn't a clock on a wall. There isn't, a watch on your wrist. There isn't a way in which you numerically value your experience. In fact, get rid of that, right? Call this a process. Call time a process, right? And you will change the way the brain thinks about time, right? Because then it's not about urgency. It's not about, I need to get this money now. I need to, whatever it is. And we're going to talk about that, by the way, in a future video. Like, can you manifest on a time crunch? The short answer is yes, 100%. And I will go into why and how. But to fully grasp what I'm saying here is that when you go in here, you've given yourself your desire. That's the only truth that you need to accept. That's it. I have it. I have health. I have wealth. I have my SP. I have my favorite car. Whatever it is, you have it now. This doesn't matter, right? And so you need to fully accept that when you give yourself something in here, there's no time lap. There's no time gap. The only reason why there is because you're measuring time as a numerical value, not because time as a process. It's like, okay, part of the process isn't that I'm separate from 3D or that I'm separate from my imagination. That's the other thing. Time creates separation. I don't have it now, right? Well, then that means that's created separation between you and your object of desire, okay? And so you need to really, really fully grasp that essentially what's going on is that you've created distance between you and your person. You've created distance between you and your mortgage. You've created distance between you and your paid bills. Whatever it is, you have that. And then all that you need to do is accept it through conviction. And so you use emotions and thoughts to get you into the state, which is just an accepted body of beliefs. So you have to figure out what your dominant ones are now, and you use tools like meditation and scripting and vision boards, all of those kinds of things to actually get you into the state daily, right? Until it actually physically shows up here. But physically showing up doesn't mean that there's a time gap, right? That's just the process. The process is like I go in here, and that's part one of the process. I go in here, but I don't go in here as I lack. I go in here as I have, right? And then you go in and you create the 3 to 5 scenes, and you saturate these 3 to 5 scenes with 3 to 5 emotions, and you drench them and intensify them and intensify them and intensify them, right? Even Neville uses a breathing technique, he says, right? And until you feel like this kind of like mystical explosion, and you blow it out, right? And that's process part 1. Process part 2 is what we call waiting. That is not time. That's just the process, right? And then it shows up. That's the process part 3. These are processes. These are not time related at all. Okay, I know this is gonna be hard, but my challenge to you is to begin thinking in process and not in numerical value, right? Because you have your object now and here, and you deserve it, right? So hopefully this was helpful. Much love to you guys all. I really, really actually heartfelt really hope that you're getting value out of these. I actually hate that I said that because that's very marketing language, but I really, really do hopefully really, really, really deep down hope that you find these valuable to you. So get in touch if you're looking for coaching. I love what I do, and I love that you guys are getting a kick out of what's being shared here. So share your insights below, and I'll talk to you soon. All right.